Well, some of you probably don't know me, but my name is Thomas, and I go to the group here, and it was great. I really enjoyed the trip. We did so many fun things. We went hiking in New York. That was one of my favorite activities we did because there was nothing like I expected New York to look like. I thought it was going to be like entirely city, but then Dave says that most of New York looks like that, and just it was amazing when I experienced it. Then the next thing we did, we went over to Lake Erie, and we did all the stuff there. We went sailing on a tall ship, and we went to an old lighthouse that was built in 1872, and we got to look at that and see how cool it was and stuff. And then we spent the rest of that day at the beach, and we just kind of hung out, played games, and swim, all the stuff. And shortly after that, we arrived at the campus, and we just got there, got settled in, did all the stuff, we played games, and we met the other group, which was from Michigan. And at one point during the week when we were talking to them, they actually taught us some new mind games or riddles that our youth group kind of does. So I thought that was kind of cool. And they were pretty fun guys for telling us that. And just sharing that with us. We figured them out pretty quick though. It was pretty fun. The first site we went to was a Ron and Sandy, and when we were going inside, we actually, me and John and I think Zeta, we went inside their house to wash our hands for lunch, and they were, because they were so appreciative and wanted us to have clean hands when we ate food. And we were just talking to them and getting to know them, and I really enjoyed learning about how their house was built, and because they were talking about that, how a big beam went through the whole house. I can't remember what it was called, but that was really cool, getting to know Ron and Sandy. The work we did there, I did a lot of weeding, and I raked the majority of the hill. That was a lot of work got done. And then I also did a lot of brickwork out there. So I was fixing the bricks. They were all crooked, and straightened them out, cleaned the moss off, all that stuff. It was really fun. And then at the end of that site, Macy was saying, we did get a huge group around, and we all just prayed for Sandy, and she was incredibly thankful for all the work that we've done and everything like that. And she was just in tears of how thankful she was and grateful. Then that site took us about a day and a half, and we left right after lunch to go to the old church that was built in 1897. And it started as a backyard church, which was kind of cool because Andrew and Richie were just telling us about the church and the history of it and how it started and how far it's going. And what we did there was we basically tore out all the carpet from the church and put it in a big pile and hauled it off. And in the carpet, there was a lot of staples that were there, hundreds and hundreds of staples. So we were pulling out all the staples, and it was a lot of work. And there was a bunch of them that were hidden in the floor that some of the people missed, and I was able to find them and take them out, just so it's easier for the next group. And somebody that was there was wow, you're really paying attention to details and getting every single staple. I don't remember who though, and then that night as well, when we get back into the chapel, Macy explained it earlier, but I also got one of those nailed it awards, nail about yay big, but just for working super hard and getting everything done. It was really fun. That was probably one of my favorite days. And later on, we went to a Catholic cathedral, and that was just really awesome to see how big it was and the architecture of it, and just the cool designs and stuff for that. And then after that, we moved on to the third site, which was with June and Judy. We got to clean out the garage fully. pictures, me helping Chris build a shelf there. And we also built some lumber racks on the little side lean-to thing, and to store some old lumber that they had just laying around. That was really fun. And we filled up the entire dumpster from there, even though we didn't have a truck for most of the time because it was off running errands with some other people. So we didn't get as much done as we could, but still did a lot. Some other things that we did was we walked around the Penn State campus and just got to see all the things, all the buildings, the athletic center, and that was kind of fun. And one of my favorite times as well, we went to Horseshoe Curve. I thought that was really cool to see how it was built and all that stuff. We went to Hershey Park, and that was really fun as well. We rode a bunch of roller coasters, even though the lines were extremely long. But that was fun. And yeah. On the way back home, we went to Frigid Frog for ice cream. We stopped there, we all had ice cream. And it was like a really cool kind of hole-in-the-wall place. But they had really good ice cream. And then the last stop we made was, we went to like a big things in small town thing where we saw the world's largest mailbox, like wind chimes. There's a giant taco and a rocking chair. It was kind of cool. But overall, the trip was great, and I would not miss the next one.
As you can tell, that's me, but that's in New York when we were hiking, like Thomas said. It was really beautiful landscaping and all that sort of stuff. We had a lot of fun there. Also, Dave, you still owe me $1. So at the very end of the trip, I'm going to start there because we did some stuff that I haven't done ever in my life. It's like ride roller coasters, do anything like that, amusement park stuff like that. Which first ever roller coaster I ever rode was Sky Rush, I believe it was called, and I was very, very, very scared. And we went to Lake Erie, which was really fun. First ever time going to a Great Lake. We sailed on the UG. Well, not really sailed, we used the motor, but it was a sailboat. And all the people that we helped, like we prayed with and helped do stuff, seeing their faces of joy and thankfulness on their faces for us helping them and doing stuff for them was really good to see that they were enjoying it. And we had lots of fun doing all of like side trips and little things here and there, just doing anything and everything. It was really fun, like all the little trips. And June and Judy's was my favorite part because they helped a lot. They offered us pizza and food. They when we were helping, they were trying to help us as well. And as we were sorting through stuff, June, I believe it was, she was going through and telling us what she wanted and what she didn't want. And there's a lot of things she wanted to keep, but she didn't because she needs to she wanted to get rid of stuff so that she would have more room in her garage. And after we built, me, Connor, and Thomas built the wood racks like Thomas said, but after we built those, her face of excitement and joy of seeing it being done so she has more storage and stuff like that was really nice to see. And she was very thankful and offered us a lot of stuff that we didn't need, so we just were kindly declining it, but she kept offering us more and more stuff, which was really nice. We also, like I said before, we prayed with Ron and Sandy first. We prayed for Ron's health and whatnot, and make sure he stays safe. Then the guys at the church prayed with us and prayed for us after we got done with their renovating the church, like all the carpet, taking it all out. And then we prayed with June and Judy, and June, I believe, was the one that prayed for us as well. And they also joined in all the little activities we did while we were there, like the worship and like all the little side things that you're supposed to do along the way and getting to know them. And lastly, I want to thank all the seniors for being with us, being here and stuff like that. I especially want to thank John for inviting me to PYF and being a really fun guy. But he invited me to PYF my 7th grade year, and that's the reason I've been going on all these trips, having a lot of fun along the way. I'm not missing them all.
I'm Seth, I'm a senior. I joined PYF 4 years ago because John invited me, and now I'm a senior graduate. So, it's been a fun time. I had a lot of fun on this trip. I liked sailing, hiking, and going to the beach, and going to the lighthouse, climbing the lighthouse, going to Lake Erie. Yeah. And, when we got to the campus, it was surprising because it was so nice. And last mission trip, we were all of the 60 boys were all crowded together with air mattresses, and now we've got beds in our rooms. And then the first night we unpacked everything, and we headed off to chapel, and we got to meet the staff and the other groups for the first time. And one of the staff was a really fun guy. And then we got to play some games with the other group at the chapel. And we played Poison Dark Rocker and some Ninja. And then we went home, we had some group time, and then we went to bed. And then on Monday, the first day, we went to Ron and Sandy's and started pulling weeds, fixing their stones, taking moss off it. We got most of it done the first day.
Thank you.
But partway through the first day, I was coming out, and Sandy asked me to change a light bulb because she couldn't reach it. So I did that, and yeah. And then that was fun the first day. And then the second day, we came back, and we had more tools. We had a weed eater to get some of the weeds. We had some hedge clippers to fix the hedges, and yeah. And then at the end, we prayed for Sandy and Ron for some time, and that was fun. That was really nice. And then that was only lunch by the time we ended that mission site, and then we went to the church that was built in 1897. We tore out some carpet, got the staples. I got to break down a couch with John, Zeta, and Chris with the Sawzall. 2 of them were mine, and then one was in a dumpster, and it smelled like cat pee. That was fun. That was not fun. And then once we finished, we had to load it all to a dumpster. And yeah. And then we prayed with Andrew and Richie. They told us about the background of the church. And yeah, how it started and that they've been going there for 5 years. And that was, we finished tearing out the carpet for the church early, or not really. That was basically the end to our day. We got home, and then the next day, was June and Judy's. That was a lot. We got there, and there was a bunch of stuff that she'd already cleaned out, but there was still a whole lot more just still in the garage. And then, yeah, and then halfway through the day, there was a little side area, and it had a barn door. Macy was opening it and she broke it off. And then she dropped it on me. It was like 500 pounds. It was a lot. Yeah, it hurt. It was fine. I was fine. Mostly. But yeah, so it was fun just seeing them and doing so much for June, I mean. Yeah, we didn't really get to do Judy's garage at all because the truck was helping with the other group building a deck, and they had destroyed a deck too, and it was a lot. But then the second day we got there early and we finished June's garage. We built shelves and then a place to store all of the old wood. That was fun. And then we got to pray for them. And then with the other, a different group next week finished it like the first day. They had a dumpster. Lucky. But yeah, we got the door reattached at the end. It was not fun. But on the way home, yeah, we stopped by the Flight 93 Memorial. Yeah, that was
So, since Seth didn't want to explain the picture, I guess I will. At June and Judy's garage, there was a lot of stuff we were throwing away. And randomly you'd find something and you'd mess with it, or they'd say, oh, you should take that home with you. Like, Chris got a grappling hook. Like, who has a grappling hook in their garage? But there's just a case of glasses, and Seth and I were both told, hey, you should put these on and try and look like old men. And so, hi, I'm John. This has been my third mission trip with the youth group, and like the start of every mission trip, we woke up before the sun, we all went to IHOP for breakfast, minus the leaders, and then met back at the church and got in the 12-passenger van. We were all excited to start the adventure and go do some good work. After all, who wouldn't want to spend 37 hours in a van with people who hit you every time they see a yellow car? Along the way, we stopped and explored a few lighthouses around Lake Erie, then swam and enjoyed the beach. That night, before heading to our hotel, we went sailing on a tall ship, where they let a few of us man the ropes. Seth and I even got to do one of the front sails by ourselves. And no, Blake did not fall off the boat. Yes, I am just as amazed as you all. The next day, we all went hiking in Allegheny State Park in New York. As it turns out, some of us are more experienced hikers than others. Who knew? We got to eat lunch on the trail before finishing our drive to Altoona. Some people fell asleep along the home stretch of the drive there, and somehow woke up with cheese balls in their mouths. How strange. The lodging for our group was luxurious compared to previous years. Seth and I got our own rooms, and it was something of an upgrade from previous mission trips, where we all slept on an air mattress in an open room with 100 other guys, usually on their phones until 3 a.m., making noise. The individual rooms this year felt like cheating the system. They were nice to have, but it didn't feel like a real youth group experience compared to some years. Some of the new kids this year will experience that in the next mission trip, I'm sure. When we got to our first work site, I was a little confused why we were called all the way to Altoona just to clean some rocks for an entire week. We ended up knocking out the entire project in a single day. It wasn't the work in the yard that seemed to matter though, because throughout the day we got to talk to the homeowners, Sandy and Ron, and they told us about themselves, and they were eager to learn about our group and us as individuals. Just being there to talk with them and support them seemed to have a bigger impact than pulling weeds or scrubbing moss. It wasn't the manual labor I did 4 years ago in Tennessee were the construction projects I did 2 years ago in South Carolina. This was a new mission trip with a new type of work. Our second work day had us going back to Ron and Sandy's to just do some finishing touches. We finished with a group prayer around Sandy, which was arguably the best moment of the trip. Then we were off to a church built in 1897 to help do some renovations. We tore out carpet and pulled nails from the stairs at a terribly awkward angle, only to discover that we did not have to pull those nails because they were just going to build the stage over them anyways. We had 2 projects done in 2 days, and the staff was starting to get worried that they would run out of work for us to do. So what did they do? They sent us to June and Judy's. The twin sisters had a garage for us to clean out, and they admitted that they didn't even know some of the stuff that was in there. It just come with the property when they bought it. June set up a chair right outside the garage and spent the entire day deciding if what we were bringing her was trash or deserving for her to keep. I spent a good part of the day in the rafters handing trash bags and random objects down to Seth and Chris. They were the only 2 tall enough to grab most of the stuff. It took us 2 days to clean out the garage and a lot of trips to the dumpster. We built some new shelves and secured a heavy door onto the garage after someone broke it off while cleaning behind it. We did realize halfway through the day that we should have put some dust mask on after every time you move something, the entire air filled with dust and you couldn't see anything. And then you start to spit up some weird dust. The mission trip had a lot more direct involvement with the people we were helping this year. It was really fun to get to see that. Like I said, there was a different type of work. On my first mission trip, we did a lot of manual labor. I pulled the stump out of the ground and painted a house and all that. And then 2 years ago in Carolina, Seth and I ran a table saw for 4 hours straight. That was a lot of work, and they're in a different way. But after our work days were finished, we went to Hershey Park to have some fun, and one of the staff there running the roller coaster was a really fun guy. On the way home, Thomas, so you all know the song 100 Bottles of Beer on the Wall, right? So imagine that, but you can't get out of the car, so you have to listen to the whole song. Now imagine that if someone sang 1,000 bottles of beer. That was Thomas and I. They loved it. So Altoona didn't have the type of work we were expecting on the mission trip, but it was clear that God needed our group there. Thank you for supporting us on this mission trip, and I can't wait to see what PYF does 2 years from now.
Hi, I'm Zena, and this was my first ever mission trip and also first year with this youth group. So the trip started off the same as any others I had taken in my life, except it was with people I had only met this past year, minus my sister. One thing that really stuck with me was when Dave said that one mission trip is about equivalent to 2 years after a new youth group. It was weird to imagine that, but it really did feel like that after the end of the week. I got to know everybody really well, like how Seth likes to hold thumbs up in photos, and how Thomas liked playing mind games, and how much Connor liked to read, and more. Going to the beach on a boat ride and on a 4-hour hike all turned out to be great places to get to know people when you don't have phones. But not only did I get to know our group really well, I also got to know the people we helped and the people we worked with. One of whom was Sarah, who was a pretty fun guy. Sarah was the one who led us and also helped introduce us to Sandy and Ron on our first site. Where we were meant to spend our entire week, we instead spent a day and a half helping tend to her yard and then saying our goodbyes by sending prayers and giving hugs. And it was quite funny to see how nervous Sarah was getting with how fast we got most of our projects done. From our first site, we went and worked on ripping out old carpet at Renew Church, and the picture behind me is actually from that day. It was our second couch we ripped apart with the saw, and it was the one that smelled like cat pee, and we had to touch and put in the garbage. We had finished ripping out the carpet, saw the couches apart. It was a lot of fun to do, and it was a lot of fun seeing at the end of the day how much we got done. By that night, it seemed like we were all at a pace to be able to get 4 work sites done in 4 days, until we met Judy and saw their garage. June and Judy were twins who lived next to each other, and our job had been to clean up both of their very full garages. It sounded pretty easy until we actually started working and realized just how much we needed a dumpster and just how much there was to go through. Because of that, we were not able to finish both of their garages before work days were over. Even though we didn't finish cleaning both their garages, it was nice to see how much we impacted their lives the way they did ours. By the end of the week, all of our work sites, hours in a van, and fun stops along the way there and back are what made this week the most memorable, fun, and absolutely amazing experience to have had with this group. I will be forever thankful for all the people who helped us raise money by fundraising for this trip, and that our group was able to spend that week in Pennsylvania and get the chance to impact and get impacted by so many wonderful people.
So, to start with the picture, I'm Catholic, and Dave loves to make fun of me for it. And I then go and love to make fun of my dad, because he's a Lutheran minister's son, and he changed. So, there's no real sense of what religion I truly am. I decided to convince the Presbyterian youth group to stop at the cathedral in Altoona, because the Altoona diocese had their cathedral in town. Beautiful building, we'll always love to go again. Now, the second thing we're going to explain. You've heard a lot of fun guy things. Well, the first night of chapel, each staff member started their introduction with a joke. So we decided that we were going to include that joke in our speeches, hence the fun guy. Now, this is my 3rd trip. First one was in Copper Hill, second was in South Carolina, and then now Altoona, Pennsylvania. Each trip has been different. Now the first and third trip were a lot nicer than the second trip because we were spoiled on both of those, but each one came out with a different meaning. This trip wasn't just a go out and work, do the normal work that you can do in town. Yard work, cleaning stuff out. While I can do yard work here in town, it's a lot different 1,000 miles from home when you're forced to talk and interact with people when you may just want to work and get it done. But 1,000 miles away from home, it sticks with you a little more. Ron and Sandy, both amazing people who were able to take a 10-minute break and go inside the garage while they're sitting there talking. And you can just have a conversation with them. Going with Andrew and Richie, it was kind of funny because they realized, because I brought some of my own tools, because I'm going into construction, that I kind of knew some of these different things that I was doing, and they were asking me about what I wanted to do, and there was just a lot of interaction. And then you hit June and Judy. June and Judy, as twin sisters, spent a lot of time together and kind of knew what to expect. And a lot of people have talked about June, but I'm going to talk about Judy. Judy was the older, more dominant twin, more outspoken, can do more on her own, and wanted us to instead help her sister. When we were leaving the work site for the final day, I went to say goodbye, as a lot of people were already saying goodbye to June. So I went over to Judy, and we're talking for a second, and she just immediately grabs my hand and starts praying for me. We're going through everything, and we finish, and we're leaving the work site with a bunch of different trinkets in the van of old pickaxe heads, maybe an old hatchet that I think we came home with, a grappling hook that went in Chris's suitcase, but just all these little trinkets, and each one has a different meaning, but no other group is going to realize what that has. You can go down into the youth room and see all these different trinkets from different trips. John and I have some trinkets from the Copper Hill trip that will mean something to me, him, Niali, and Megan, the 4 people that went on that trip. No one else is going to know the meaning behind it, but we always keep it. So through all of these, while pictures are nice to have to remember it, we didn't have our phones. And we have some photos that David and Cindy took, but it's never going to be the same as what we remember and what we took to heart.
So, fun fact. I thought I was going to say fun guy. Fun fact. Kids' stories, totally unscripted. I didn't screen anything. I just said write something that lasts about 1 to 3 minutes. And you got to hear some really cool stories about, hopefully you can tell how much I meant to these guys. Another fun fact, we usually go on our trips in July, and because Marcia Cooper made me, we had to get the kids back for traveling day camp. And we came back home on Father's Day, and my wife took pictures of all the kids with their dads when we got back. And I just thought that was really neat. As a dad, Cindy and I have been on trips where before we had kids, then we had kids and left them with my dad. And then we took my kids on trips, and now I'm done taking my kids on trips. But thank you for letting me take your kids on trips. And hopefully we'll get to do that again. And that'll be fun. I got a couple more things we're going to do real quick. I think we're going to sing one more song, and I got a little something special to share with you, and then we're going to get lunch. So, you guys want to join the band? far from home. We ask that you be with the people the staff, the people that we served, people we met along the road, help them to know that they're being thought about today and they are loved. And we just ask that you inspire us to do the same thing far from home, right next to us. We thank you for all the blessings in our lives, for the support of our families and our friends, this church. We thank you for the food that we're about to eat and for the hands that prepared it. And we ask that you just give us the energy to be able to serve you well and lead this rest of the day. In Jesus' name. Amen.
One more thing.
Usually I like to end mission trip presentations with a full kind of encompassing video. I'm usually not real good at speaking afterwards, so this is her benediction.
Yay!
Started.